and we're going to bring on Shaw from Eliza Labs to tell you about why Ethereum should care about AI. If you've been listening to anything happening in the world of crypto and AI, you may have heard of Eliza already. And in addition to just being a really, really good framework for building chatbots and agents leveraging Ethereum, or just actually general blockchains, we're going to get a case for why Ethereum should care even more. So I'm personally excited for this one. And without further ado, let's welcome Shaw.
Hey.
Welcome.
Let's see. Let me just make sure I can do my slides.
We'll put
Cool.
things right up.
Slides are working? Okay, great. So let's see. I can't see it big. Okay, that's fine. We'll manage. Yeah, so my name is Shaw, and I think that a lot of people ask me this question of like, well, why should blockchain or especially Ethereum and the whole ecosystem care about AI agents? And, there's some blockchains that are like, oh yeah, we can run agents on chain, but I think that generally, Ethereum is maybe a little bit more opaque. I think that we have to just look at the world that we're kind of going into and see how this all fits. So I have a few ideas on this. One thing is that I think AI makes knowledge discovery easier. Knowledge discovery is, like, how do I actually learn about a thing? Well, I used to Google it, but now a lot of things are very opaque. Like if I go and search for DeFi and I find something, this is usually what like a DeFi website looks like. And I'm like, okay, so liquidity is something and strategies are something. And leverage is something. And I know that, you probably should know what these things are if you're going to get into them and be something of an expert. But the reality is I think we're moving into a world where, grandma really wants to have exposure to this stuff. And teaching it is becoming a big part of using it now. I think, if you go to your average front page, it's like, well, we're revolutionizing DeFi with V4 liquidity pools. And it's like, okay, I don't understand any of those words. And I think that in the world of, people getting phantom wallets and this kind of new emergent crypto Twitter trending, I think age-wise downward, we can also expect a lot more people getting into this for the first time and just like not really knowing where to look. So I think of like, it's kind of simple, but I wouldn't say we should throw LLMs at everything, but I do think that in certain cases they make a lot of sense. And we'll go over a few of those. I think just kind of the chatbot angle of this is just like people don't know what they're buying, and they're more likely to buy it if you help them to, and you inform them about their buying decision. And I think it's especially true in crypto, where you have a lot of pretty advanced concepts that are sort of communicated to an in-group that, has been around a while. But newbies tend to not really know where to start with this stuff. And something I noticed, especially with like a lot of agent devs coming into this meta, was, well, they had no way to like sell their tokens because there's this like weird kind of, social standoff where if you sell any of your tokens, it's a big drama. But people were okay with them liquidity pooling their tokens to, kind of get started. And while there is some stuff like impermanent loss, it's not a bad way to support your token in these kinds of more fair launch metas. But everyone was really afraid of liquidity pooling. And I think that the most common response that I got from people was like, well, I really don't know where to start or why I would want to do this. And, there are definitely reasons why you wouldn't want to. But generally just not like it's a revenue opportunity or a way to bootstrap a project for a lot of people that they just weren't aware of and therefore just didn't get into. So I don't think we should like throw LLMs at everything, but I think that we should think of them as like for complicated apps, they're just generally a better UX than like, 50 buttons or 50 features, or especially like features that you couldn't just explain to your grandma in like 30 seconds, because probably you couldn't explain that to a lot of the potential customers who are coming to your app. I believe that as a result of this, like obviously all of the wallet companies are looking into agentic wallets, but I think that they're probably going to default to a risk threshold that is more like, well, how can we use this for discovering application, like new things that a user can do in our wallet? How can we help a user understand how to use the wallet effectively? They have these questions about these things that are somewhat hard to reduce just into like a single word, like liquidity being an example. Also on the other side, we see a lot of things like X is releasing X money this year. Generally, like obviously Facebook has been exploring forever this idea of social payments and how you can just integrate payments right into the platform. And we're starting to see a real push on this, as well as just given how many people are using X on crypto. I'm sure that we'll see this have like a strong crypto element in, at some point in the future. And I think that there's just like a trend that every app tends to be becoming everything, and that becomes a lot more frictionless when you can start to integrate payments into your app, and you can start to integrate these like sort of discovery mechanisms, and like, well, instead of putting 10 buttons at the bottom of my app, maybe there's a way to help users find what they're looking for and then just kind of present them the content that they really want to see. A lot of apps are already becoming social now. I think Clanker is an interesting example. We're working on a sort of video, like a game engine version of a Block Tank, Shark Tank thing. We've been calling it Block Tank. And they've got this idea, well, let's just do it on Twitter. And the agent decides if it likes your token shill and it mints it and stuff. Also, Jesse from Base has been doing some interesting Coinbase wallet experiments. So, I think everyone's really looking into this. Some of it is, just exploratory, like what were we actually going to do? And some of it is, oh, this is actually really cool and fun. And we shouldn't discount fun and like the sort of social network effect of Clanker and these kinds of apps, especially as they get smarter and smarter. I think it's important to say that we are in a hype cycle. I've been in a lot. I was in this hype cycle, actually. I had this exact headset with this HoloLens 1. And this, back in 2015, we really were like, well, obviously the world is going to look like this, and you're going to have this crazy Tony Stark UI. But the reality is like for the same reason we don't have jetpacks. It's not like jetpacks are impossible. In fact, we do have jetpacks, but nobody uses them because it's just not like a good user experience. You have to it's extremely loud, and you risk certain death if you're not extremely good at it, and you have to put like jets on your hands, and it's like a whole thing. And I think that we should think of AI agents as kind of the same way. Generally, would I use this? I think this is a question. Am I going to go to ChatGPT and paste in your wallet address and be like, hey, send, I don't know, 30 Doge to this guy, 0x whatever. It's just like, it's fine, but it's not really like a better interface. And in fact, in some ways, it's kind of a worse interface because, I can't really like time it well. I don't get any kind of like current price of what I'm sending. It's just like, I think it increases the risk of fat fingering and doing stupid things. But definitely like asking for like, well, what's the difference between a swap and a transfer? I bet you a lot of people just don't know these things, right? And like how do I sell my tokens is I think a really common question that I've seen. And these are the kinds of things where, an agentic interface prevents you from having some insane FAQ that has to answer every stupid question like this. But also a lot of people do have stupid questions and they're just getting into the space for the first time and trying to map it out, and we want to help them. Or like, hey, ChatGPT, automate my trading. Like, okay, I don't think LLMs are particularly good at making trade decisions yet, or ever. Maybe they will be, but there's like much better proven stuff for that. So I think that, we probably shouldn't like price that into the hype cycle too much, I guess. I wouldn't think that, it's going to know exactly what to buy when, except based on like a lot of different social signals. And if we're just going on the thesis that AI can extract social signals and buy off those, I kind of buy that. There's some validity there. But if it's just like, okay, I'm going to take, a whole bunch of charts to make this decision, I don't know. I think that's maybe something that it's more of a research problem. But, somebody coming and saying, well, how do I make money in crypto? And offering them stuff like, oh, well, thanks for coming to my website. Here we have this like a liquidity pooling thing. You can set up a farm or you can join an existing farm, and I'd be happy to explain to you how that works and what you can do. And, et cetera, et cetera. Like you can onboard users really well this way. And I think that the other thing is that your app kind of can move on to social, and you can really show the value proposition on social media. And if there's anything that we've done that I thought was like interesting, it was just seeing that the web will move onto social media, and that this entire trend is really not even about LLMs or AI agents, but it's really about a transformation of how people consume information. And that there's just this like dire need to bring your website onto social without having to like, hire KOLs or do any of this kinds of hypey stuff. And your product can actually market itself pretty effectively. And what's ideal about this over like an ad spend is that with advertising, if somebody clicks on your ad, well, they go to it and you pay a cost per click. But here, if somebody engages with your app or your agents or however you want to frame that, a lot of their friends see it, and there's like this really good network effect. And it's just like for a lot of us who've been on the internet forever and filtered out ads, like sort of just, I just don't even see them personally. I've got like a built-in ad block. I'm certainly not clicking on one. But I probably would respond to an agent if it was giving me something that was like a really compelling thing, or hitting me in the right way, or giving me exactly what I was asking for, and not just like being a slot bot. So some things agents are useful for now. Kind of gone over some of this, like onboarding users without requiring them to change their behavior, right? So if you want to make a trade bot, maybe if you're gonna, or how about like a trading bot that gives you information about hot new tokens and stuff, it might be more fun to like bring that into your Telegram chat if it's just like, oh yeah, it talks like any of us. It's not cringe, and I don't even have to slash command it, but it doesn't talk all the time. It kind of just jumps in with key interesting information on its own when it's relevant. And that's like not too hard to program now. A lot of the stuff we're doing is kind of like estimating when it should respond and what context it should bring in, and can do stuff like pull up your token price or whatever you want. And I think that people like Rickbot are definitely experimenting with this, and you'll see a lot of like social trading apps I think integrating more of an agentic style, just because it is a better user experience, right? And if users don't have to like learn a bunch of slash commands, and they can just interact with a bot like they would any other person, I think that'll like kind of help with adoption. Also, agents can meet users where they are instead of requiring them to like come to a separate application and build a whole thing. You could probably, I think there's definitely been a surge in like Telegram bots, because you can kind of just use Telegram as your application framework. Discord is like this too. And you don't have to like build a website. I mean, Midjourney is like a very popular AI generation app, and for a long time they just did it all by Discord. And so the big benefit of that is users will see like you using it in social, or that it's present in the social, and it's kind of like free advertising and like network effect. I think like fundamentally what we're trying to do, and what agents are, is like a systematization, if I get this right, of what humans do. So you could imagine a robot that bags fries instead of the SPF when he gets out of jail, but if ever. But the idea there is like, could it do any process right now that I have to hire like 10 people to do, and could it replace them effectively so that one person could overview that and make sure that's right? And I think that like this is a fruitful area. Like if there's anything that's relatively low-hanging fruit, which is usually things that you have to do over and over again, then I think that definitely like systematizing that and turning it into a workflow, and then putting it into like an agent that somebody else in their team could interact with, could make sense. I would say though that a lot of the AI stuff that I've done has reduced to like basically running workflows as scripts and running it across large data sets. And I'd say that like sometimes we are throwing this word agentic around kind of liberally. And so take that as you will. I think a lot of it is just like using AI to kind of convert unstructured data to structured data so we can work with it. Or generally like, things that we would have to do for data transformation, or moving things from point A to point B, or where the models are really good. Lastly, I think embodiment is really fun, and I think we should not discount how important fun is for building successful technology now. It definitely like the more people are coming on and enjoying doing this and think it's funny and think it's mimetic, I think it can definitely do a lot to sort of grow the technical side as well. Certainly in my case, building an open source project, it's been very helpful to do absolutely ridiculous and fairly edgy things, because it's brought in visibility, which has attracted more developers. And like, we've gotten a lot more contribution to the open source framework as a result of this. I don't think generally across the board we should discount how important it is for fun for the success of our projects, even if they're serious projects. So anything you can do to make the lives of your developers or your users, whatever, a little more fun is probably worth it. And I think that AI agents are definitely good at that, even if they're not the perfect thing. If AI XPT is out there saying buy here and sell there, it's still entertaining and interesting, and that's good fun. Okay, great. My last slide here, I got some business ideas. We'll run through them. On-chain distributed customer service. You could just have anybody service the stuff if there's like a knowledge base. Fiverr for agents. You can imagine agents hiring other agents if they don't know how to do stuff, kind of like APIs that can go find and interact with other APIs automatically. In a world of slot bots, make a slot bot filter. There's always opportunity when bad things happen to make a good thing that fights the bad things. And I think that's actually a big part of alignment. And then, last one here, digital horse racing, except that the horses die when they run out of tokens. Give it a little bit of finality to it, kind of a hardcore mode. Make people, really, really buy into their choices here. You can find me at Shaw Makes Magic on Twitter and elsewhere. That's it for me.
Thanks, Shaw. This was such a good way to kind of think about the positioning, and I'm sure in the next panel we'll kind of dig into a lot of these things. But I'm going to say I'm slightly disappointed because I thought there'll be a harsher criticism of Ethereum to start caring about this more. So I personally wanted to see that a bit more, and maybe we get to do that in the next 30 minutes. But this is I absolutely agree. I think the things you've kind of pointed out is a good way to effectively kind of look at what's happened so far. But personally, I would like to see a slightly bit more acceleration around more experimentation and kind of going all in. And we're kind of just been flirting with the possibilities, but not actually going deep.
I mean, Vitalik Scott, I'm a lady. Anything is possible. In the world.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like when Ethereum 3.0. That's what I want to know.
Well, he's doing a talk right after this panel, so we get to ask him a question right after.